Folks, your gas prices are about to go through the roof, whether you call it gas, petrol, fuel, diesel, whatever you're putting in your car to get around, all right, whatever you're putting in the truck to deliver your goods, whatever you're putting in the plane to fly away from war zones is about to potentially double or triple in price because the war in Iran is causing a massive fuel crisis. Fuel is getting destroyed, it's getting blown up, it is getting poured down the literal drain in flames, and it is not looking like there's an end in sight. Okay, because apocalyptic footage has been going around in Iran after Israel directly targeted the country's oil facilities. This is a Tehran oil depot in flames after Israel came in and basically pushed their shit in. Never seen anything like it. It looks like pure hellfire. They're getting the crusades they asked for, basically. Absolutely insane. So these are storm drains. Apparently the oil that was burning ran into the storm drains. All the storm drains in Tehran are on fire. So that's what we're dealing with. All that oil that you wanted to put into your car to get where you're going is in flames. So it's going to cost you a lot more to get the oil that's left over. That's as simple as it gets, okay? So another clip would show the massive scale of the destruction caused by these strikes. Look at the state of it. This is them blowing up. This is those storm drains blowing up and bursting into flames. It is like something out of biblical times. Just the way it all just blows up one after the other. We'll see it again in a minute. But look, fire coming out the drains. Never thought it was possible. But it is. It's bad. This is bad. Look at it blow up. It's insane. It's terrifying, okay? Now, there will be a lot of news reporting on these devastating strikes, and Israel are really unleashing that holy hellfire onto Iran, okay? The US are apparently dismayed by these fuel strikes, okay? Look at the smoke coming out over these depot tanks, all right? They've cooled down a little bit, but it is just nothing but destruction. So let me pull up the full article for you guys here because they don't like you getting information over here. They really don't like you getting your information at all, right? If they can help it. But anyway, I've got it here backed up. So it says Israel strikes on 30 Iranian fuel depots Saturday went far beyond what the US expected when Israel notified it in advance, sparking the first significant disagreement between the allies since the war began 8 days ago, according to a US official, Israeli official, and a source with knowledge. Why does this matter? Well, the US is concerned that Israeli strikes on infrastructure that serves ordinary Iranians could backfire strategically, rallying Iranian society to support the regime and driving up oil prices. Driving the news, Israelis Air Force on Saturday striked and created large fires in Tehran, igniting flames visible for miles and blanketing the capital in heavy smoke. The IDF would claim in a statement that the fuel depots are used by the Iranian regime to supply fuel to different consumers, including its military organs. Now, when it says different consumers, that means your average Iranian as well as the military. Now, that is going to be a problem. An Israeli military official said the strikes were intended in part to tell Iran to stop targeting Israeli civilian infrastructure. I don't think Iran are going to do anything that you want them to do at this stage. You've absolutely smacked them in the face, and now they're crashing out. It's as simple as that. Now, it says, behind the scenes, Israeli and US officials said the IDF notified the US military ahead of the strikes, but a US official said the US military was surprised at how far and wide-ranging these strikes were. It says, we don't think it was a good idea, a senior US official said. An Israeli official said the US sent a message to Israel saying, what the F? And the White House and the IDF didn't comment on it. So apparently the big picture is that while the facilities that were struck were not oil production facilities, US officials are concerned that the footage of burning depots could spook oil markets and push energy prices even higher, and they're already spiking like crazy. The president doesn't like the attack. He wants to save the oil. He wants that oil. He doesn't want to burn it, and it reminds people of higher gas prices, a Trump advisor told Axios. But the other side of it, the spokesman for Iran's Qatam al-Anbiya headquarters, which oversees the military operations, warned Saturday that if attacks on Iran's oil infrastructure continued, then Tehran may respond with similar strikes across the region. And I don't know how much Israel have oil in reserves, but it could be a disaster for them too. He added that Iran so far hasn't targeted regional fuel and energy infrastructure, and threatened that if Iran does, oil prices will be hitting $200 a barrel. Your fuel prices are doubling. Iran's parliament speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, one of the most senior officials in the regime, warned that if attacks on infrastructure continue, Iran will retaliate without delay. So what's next? A US official says the disagreement and what the US expects in the war is expected to be addressed at a senior political levels between the two allies. They're going to have some words. And not only is the war on destroying the oil escalating, but also the propaganda war is increasing. Now, we've seen Donald Trump and the White House posting these Call of Duty inspired videos of oil depots being, or of targets being struck in Iran, but now Iran are clapping back too. They dropped a Lego-style animation about the Epstein regime's war. Now, the Epstein regime is pretty hilarious, but you know, you can make up your own minds about that. But this is the type of thing they're putting out, and they're basically saying Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu are in business with the devil himself, Satan, all right, and that this is all some satanic shit. Oh. So they're basically saying that, look, they've been martyred, their children have been martyred, and they are basically getting their get back, and they're basically boasting about all the terror attacks that they have done in the Middle East, from Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, all of this stuff that's been going on. They're basically lashing out. Even Cyprus, the UK military base was blown up there too. All right, people saying it's cinema. A lot of these people are kind of supporting what what Iran are doing with their propaganda campaign, and a lot of people, you know, at the end of the day, even if you're patriotic, you can sort of explain to people why you don't think these strikes were such a good thing. And now we're basically dealing with a very radicalized population that would like anything more than to get back for what was done to them. Now, there's also unconfirmed speculation that Israel actually planted a spy on one of Iran's highest positions. So they're still integrating into the army.
Is this Iranian general incredibly lucky, or is he an Israeli spy? For the past year and a half, Ismail Khani seems to have miraculously escaped death while everyone around him has been killed. As head of the Quds Force, the Revolutionary Guard unit responsible for external operations, his survival of Israeli-American action has fueled suspicion. In October 2024, he was reported dead after a drone strike in Lebanon, where he was meeting with Hezbollah officials. But a few days later, to everyone's surprise, he reappeared at the funeral of a senior military official. In June 2025, Ismail Khani was again reported killed among several Iranian dignitaries. But once again, he returned from the dead when he appeared all smiles at a pro-regime demonstration. This was enough to fuel speculation on social media. Israeli internet users put up posts to ironically thank the man they described as an agent working for Israel. The latest events have added to the confusion. The attack on February 28th killed most of Iran's military high command. But what about Ismail Khani?
Some sources claim that he did not attend the meeting. Others say that he left the premises a few minutes before the first bombings. In any case, there is no news of him.
En tout état de cause, on n'a aucune nouvelle de lui.
Among the Israeli army's targets, only 2 officials are still believed to be alive, including Ismail Khani. Mossad is known to recruit at the highest levels among its adversaries. Could the Iranian general be one of them? The Israeli Secret Service denied this in a message on X. Khani is not our spy. But Mossad would not have said anything different if Khani were one of its own, keeping the speculation alive.
Yeah, he's in big trouble, basically, because even if that's not true, if they're thinking that he's King Backdoor over there, they're going to be gunning for him. Now, after basically the leader of Iran and basically everybody who was in line to take up the throne after him was all obliterated and blown to smithereens in an airstrike, they've been keeping it pretty under wraps who's going to take over the leadership. But now, in a dramatic act of, nepotism and also just not really thinking outside the box, they have announced the search far and wide. We're going to put the new person in charge is going to be the Supreme Leader's own son.
This is the moment Mujtaba Khamenei, the 56-year-old son of Iran's late Supreme Leader, is announced as the country's new leader. Supporters say they see his father in him. In a widely circulated message by several state-aligned outlets, a slogan read, "God revealed his hand and Khamenei just got younger," portraying Mujtaba's rise as a continuation of his father's rule. In 1979, Iran's Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi was overthrown by Ayatollah Ruhollah Khomeini. Mujtaba's father, Ali Khamenei, a close ally of Khomeini, quickly rose within the new political order and would later help shape the future of the Islamic Republic. Mujtaba came of age during revolution and war. At just 17, he went to the front lines during the Iran-Iraq War, while his father served as Iran's president. The troops he fought with would later form what became the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, now Iran's most powerful military institution. That relationship would prove decisive decades later. Many say the Guard's loyalty was an important factor in Mujtaba's elevation as Iran's third supreme leader. Mujtaba Khamenei has long been seen as an influential figure behind the scenes, playing a role in the appointment of senior officials and shaping Iran's security institutions through his father's office. In the days leading up to his selection, US President Donald Trump warned that Mujtaba's rise would be unacceptable to Washington. But many in Iran's political and military establishment saw those remarks as interference, further strengthening support for his appointment. Mujtaba's father, mother, sister, wife, son, and several other relatives were recently killed in strikes by US and Israeli forces. Many believe this loss could shape his outlook and possibly push Iran toward a more confrontational path. But some analysts argue the opposite may happen. Under heavy pressure from war and international isolation, they say the Iranian regime now faces two difficult choices: collapse or transform. Because Mujtaba carries the legacy of his father and the revolutionary establishment, they argue he may have the legitimacy to push difficult reforms through without being accused of betraying the revolution. But time may not be on his side. Israeli officials have repeatedly threatened to target any successor to Iran's assassinated supreme leader. But the challenges go beyond external threats. Many in Iran see Mujtaba's appointment as dynastic, arguing that the revolution which toppled a monarchy has now produced another.
Now, that's a really good point, all right? The whole point of their revolution to topple a monarchy and basically take control back of their country, it doesn't really look too strong when they're saying the leadership has got dynastic, it's become a dynasty, now his son's taken over, they're saying our supreme leader just got younger. It's like, hang on a minute. This is a monarchy. You're going to put the guy's son in. Now, I know that we've had father-son. We've had George Bush twice in America. Okay, it's ridiculous. But you're going to drop in. No election. You know what I'm saying? They just made a behind closed doors decision. We're going to put his son in position. I don't personally think that that's a great look. But anyway, that's how they want to run it.
At a time of war, sanctions, and societal polarization, the system's survival may depend on bridging the gap between the state and the people. Under Iran's constitution, Mujtaba Khamenei is both the country's highest political authority and the supreme religious leader for millions of Shias in Iran and beyond. His father assumed power just months after the end of the devastating war with Iraq in the late 1980s. Mujtaba Khamenei takes office during a far more dangerous moment. Whether he can unite the country, end the war, and reopen Iran to the world, or lead it into deeper confrontation and isolation will define the future of the Islamic Republic.
So we're going to see how his son takes over. We're going to see how he runs things. Now, immediately following the announcement of who was taking over, reports would suggest that the new supreme leader was immediately injured in a targeted strike. So they tried to kill him immediately.
Thank you very much for watching. There is some potential breaking news which we are trying to verify through other reports here, that apparently the brand new leader of Iran may well have been injured in a attack. Now, let me just read directly here. There are international sources we're double-checking here. The Daily Telegraph is reporting as we speak on their website that Iran's newly appointed supreme leader has been injured in strikes, according to Iranian state media. That he apparently had been wounded in what they are referring to as the Ramadan War. He's described as an injured war veteran right now. Israeli security officials believe that he was wounded but still alive after targeting in an airstrike. This is according to the reporting that is on the Times of Israel.
So grand opening, grand closing, right? You couldn't even do his job for a day or so without getting blown to smithereens. And he apparently survived but was injured. But look, all right, whether or not you believe the justifications for this war, you got to admit, Iran are down so many points right now. It's actually embarrassing. You've appointed a new leader. He immediately gets blown up and injured in an airstrike. Like, you guys are not playing good defense right now. And I don't want to get into, like, you know, whether or not it was right for the Americans to do this or the Israelis to do this, but now we're in it, all right? They're standing on business. And really, we're just waiting to see what happened to this revolution that's supposed to be happening in Iran. You know, those people that were trying to rise up against the government a few months ago, yeah, they killed like 60,000 of those protesters. Is there even enough support for a revolution in Iran for this to actually happen? Trump and Netanyahu, they've urged people to take to the streets and take back their country. Well, unfortunately, killing their leaders back to back and destroying their oil fields has possibly cultivated an aura of, you know what, F America, let's just get behind our supreme leader, even if he keeps being blown to smithereens. But back to the original topic of this whole video. As the war is escalating, global oil prices have taken a hit already. The price of gas is already going up. The price of oil is going up. Oil futures, speculation on the future price of oil is out of control. And everything is going to get more expensive as a result. Everything. Literally.
Oil prices soaring. West Texas crude now hovering around $100 a barrel. You can see this chart over time. The last time it was this high was when Russia invaded Ukraine, and that height was at June of 2022. But I want you to look at the very end of this chart, an almost vertical increase over the last 2 weeks, an incredibly quick rise over a very short period of time. It could get even higher, experts say, by the end of March, maybe even $150 a barrel if travel through the Strait of Hormuz does not start flowing again. That flow of oil through that critical waterway has effectively ground to a halt. It's only a 20-mile stretch of sea between Iran and Oman, and actually only a 2-mile wide sea lane. The president shrugged off the rise in oil prices, calling it a very small price to pay for USA and world safety and peace.
But look, as you can hear, right, that we're gonna see serious rises in oil prices, fuel prices, gas, all of that stuff. You know, they're killing every next leader. But a lot of people have been asking, look, what is the end game here? Like, what is Trump's or Netanyahu's actual end game? They thought they could just kill the leader and it would just solve all the problems, but it doesn't seem like it solved the problems. It's caused a whole bunch more problems, and it's really emboldened the whole administration and population in Iran to just basically want to just go straight death to America, okay? And that is very sad. That's very dark. I love America. I don't love everything America does at all times. I definitely don't love what Iran have got going on with the nuclear program and, you know, the beef that they've got with Israel, and they're backing terrorist fighters in different regions around the world to mess with America. We can't put up with that. But at the same time, what's the solution here? I don't know, okay? And if I hear anything new, I will keep you guys updated, but I'm definitely very scared that this is getting out of hand. And I do wonder if anybody has a game plan for how to get through this. And as I covered recently, they might be drafting people soon in this holy war. They're saying it's Armageddon. They're bringing about Armageddon times. Not what any of us signed up for, people. I don't know how on earth it has got to this point, but I'm not loving it. So let me know what you thought of that update, man. I will let you guys know if I hear anything else. But for now, let's just all hunker down in the bunker and hope this doesn't get more out of hand. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.